Hello everybody, how are you? Time for another Denver video, and we're getting so much reaction to the mini-series we're doing on dating in Denver. And of course, it doesn't matter what age you are, everybody, or many people, want to find somebody to date, to build a relationship with, perhaps even marry. And how do you go about doing that? Well, in Denver, it's a little bit different. We're going to cover some of that now. The main thing you want to do is get out of your own head. In fact, this will make it a lot easier on you, I think, guys, if you just focus on the other person. So many people get nervous when dating or trying to date, showing interest in dating, asking people out. It's such a nerve-wracking experience. But if you take yourself out of the equation and focus on the other person, then it makes it much easier. Now, you can overdo it. If you've ever been on a date and you feel like you're being interviewed, constant barrage of questions, that's a little off-putting as well. So you want to have your own shtick ready to go, your own story, your own background, and you want the conversation to be back and forth. But again, if you can start asking questions about them. Now, what might you ask somebody from Denver if you're interested in dating a Denverite? And the thing is, the city is growing so fast that there's a lot you can talk about just right there. Just talk about the expansion of real estate, talking about the influx of knuckleheads from California. I mean, you could probably spend an hour just talking about that right there. What kind of jerks from California are you running into in your neighborhood? What kind of dorks are ruining your neighborhood from California? Okay, that's a big topic. You could talk about the traffic that is reminiscent of California. You could ask them, what kind of mileage are you getting? What are the gas prices in your area? Oh, that's crazy, man. I'm paying. I got a hybrid. I'm getting the best mileage ever. You know what I mean? And just let it flow. So in Denver, of course, the deep history of the taming of the West, that is all part of the Denver story, is intertwined in the DNA of anybody that has lived there any length of time, especially multi-generational Denverites. So you could ask them, what was it like growing up on a ranch before it was turning into a housing development? What was it like riding a horse to school? Right? So open it up, and again, find out, just watch their body language, watch their facial expressions, and you'll get an idea of what they're responding to and what appeals to them, and then you can follow that line of questioning. And as always, intersperse it with your own experience. Let it be kind of a 60-40. Give them 60. But again, you know yourself. You don't really have to worry about what you're going to say. You want to try to focus on getting them to talk, and then therefore the conversation, they'll feel that you're paying attention to them and attending to their needs. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes sense. Now, not everybody from Denver grew up on a ranch. Some of them grew up in the mountains. So you could say, what was it like walking to school up a 75-degree grade every day of your life? What was it like in a one-room schoolhouse? So many people in Denver went to school in a one-room schoolhouse, and then they get accepted into, let's say, it's college at Boulder, and they go there and they have these big buildings, and a lot of them freak out. They're like, whoa, I went to high school in a one-room schoolhouse, and then here I am at this big university, and it's a bit of a transition. In fact, at Boulder, they have an entire team of psychologists that help people from the Denver area that grew up in the mountains to transition to being in such a big university as compared to being homeschooled or in the one-room schoolhouse. You can ask them what it's like to milk a cow. A lot of cattle still up there in the hills and in the mountains. You could ask them how to make moonshine, right? You could ask them what is it like when their family history is from West Virginia and they move to Colorado to get away from the law? You know, because a lot of people in West Virginia in those days, in the old days, were running moonshine, and some of them were very, very close to getting nabbed by the feds. So what they did was they, got that Chevrolet gassed up, and they headed on out to Colorado in the 30s and the 40s, and populated the hills and the nearby mountains around the Denver area. So their great grandsons and their grandsons and the generations that followed, those are the people related to those original moonshiners. Well, you could ask them about that. Do they know how to make moonshine? Have they ever run from the law at high speed? These are all questions that dates appreciate. So just take it easy, relax on the date. You don't have to get all, just think of it as a friend that you haven't met yet, and that maybe somebody on the train that you're talking to, and you're just passing the time of day, right? Because that's all it is anyway. It's not this big show. Everybody thinks it's a big, like you're debuting a Broadway show, and you got to put on your best. There's a little bit of that, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Because the thing is, nature has its own course. Have you ever been on a date with somebody from Denver or some other city, and it's just not clicking? And it should. You're attractive, they're attractive, you're semi-attractive, they're semi-attractive, whatever it is. And so it seems like it should work. People walking by look at you like, oh, you would make a cute couple, that kind of thing. And she's fun. You're fun. She's got a lot of interesting things. She's got a career. You've got a career. You know what I mean? But it's just not a love connection, and that's just that natural Mother Nature. It's that Cupid. It's that chemistry that they talk about. That elusive chemistry. They feel like more like a sister than a potential love interest, or you know what I mean. So don't that'll take place no matter what you do. All you're doing is giving love a chance, and to grow, or to at least take seed. But you can't engineer that. You just gotta have to let it flow and see where it goes. And you'll know pretty quickly, right? Especially dating for somebody from Denver, because they're no nonsense. Any of these cities in the West, right? That came of age, they grew and developed from the wild Western days into the early pre-industrial days. Their sons and daughters, their generations that follow, they don't mince words. They'll tell you straight out if they're interested or not. Right? They'll call you out if you're acting the fool, because they don't have time for it anyway, right? So don't try to give them a song and dance routine. They're going to see through that in a Denver minute, right? Just be yourself, and if they say anything like, "Hey, wouldn't you agree that this is going nowhere?" right? Or they'll say, "You seem nice and all, but I'm really glad to meet you. This has been very interesting." If they use that word interesting, then you're dead. Okay? If they say, "Well, I got to get going. This is great. I got to get going. I have to get up," and you're dead. And these are things you want to hear. Why do you want to hear them? Because you don't want to waste your time. Life is short. And what's another good one that you might hear? Like in Denver, you might hear things like, "This has been really fun. I've got to get up for buy my season tickets to the Broncos," right? Or they might say, "Hey, this has really been a great time. I'm trying out for the Avalanche tomorrow." And you say, "Well, you're a 5'6" female, that never played hockey. This is a new program, and then they start making up lies. This is a new program from the Avalanche where they're going to try to diversify by having women on the team, and I'm going to be trying out to be one of the first women on the team. Right. Well, that's a fib. That's a fib. But again, don't get upset about it. Just roll with it. You know what? You've never told a fib in your life? Come on. So don't get all high and mighty about it when you're getting blown off. When you're getting the hook, right? They're getting the hook out and pulling you off the stage. Well, that's good. You want to fail. This is what people don't understand. When you're dating in Denver, you want to fail. You want things to not always work out. Why? Because, for one, it takes you out of it. You know that more than likely it's not going to work out. So you just relax. And the more you relax, the more you'll be yourself, and the more shot you have at developing a true and real relationship. And again, remember, somebody from Denver is not going to put up with your BS. If you're from New York or LA, for God's sake, and try your song and dance routine, what they're gonna do is they're gonna take you outside and they're gonna place you behind their prize-winning bronco-busting horse, and they're gonna make that horse flip his hooves, his back hooves into your head, and they're gonna say, "Quit BSing me." And that's very common in Denver. They'll line you up and they'll give you the old head buck. That's where that horse just bucks you right in the noggin. And I would just say that's even if you duck, which you should probably try to duck because it'll hurt like hell. That's a message. That's a message from somebody from Denver. They're saying, "Hey, quit your BS. You're not in New York anymore. You're not in Beverly Hills. Okay, park that Ferrari, get yourself an old Jeep, and join the human race." That's what they're saying. So you take that you take that news or information as you want. Modify your behavior or don't. So guys, I hope that helps. That is some more information on finding and dating singles in Denver. And we're going to have a few more videos on this topic as well as other great Denver videos. Come on back.